From Bustleton to Broome, this is Spirit Drive with Matt Layton.
Right across the west, you're on Spirit Drive with Matt Layton, and it's time for my next guest. It's wonderful to welcome the hilarious Titus O'Reilly. He's turning his attention to perhaps Australia's favourite pastime, sports gambling. Sorry for the anticlimax, folks. His new book, Please Gamble Irresponsibly, The Rise, Fall and Rise of Sports Gambling in Australia, is out now. Titus, good afternoon.
Good to be with you.
Now, I am an avid reader of your highly unhelpful guides on Fridays and the Monday knee-jerk reactions to the footy round that was. Did you ever anticipate you would amass the large following that you have?
No, not at all. I still am surprised by it. I started it all as just a bit of fun as a hobby, and it sort of took off, and it beats real work, I've got to say.
Well, about 12 months ago, we caught up to talk about your previous book, A Sporting Chance, Australian Sporting Scandals and the Path to Redemption. Our cricketers copped a fair whack in the book as a result of Sandpapergate, and here we are now. We witnessed the resurgence of Steve Smith in the Away Ashes series. He's days away from returning to the Aussie summer of cricket as well in great nick. How would you rate his path to redemption?
Well, I've been pretty good. I mean, Australians love a winner, so if you keep doing what he does, both we retain the Ashes, and he was doing Bradman-like things. You kind of people forgive a lot. I think the flip side, David Warner, no one really liked him much to start with, and he needs to score runs, or the Australian public, they could tolerate a lot of things, but failure is not one of them.
Now, if you were to write a volume 2, considering what we've witnessed in past days with a particular former Wallaby, rugby league and Aussie rules player, and that's just one person, who would you add in that second volume?
Oh, well, Israel would have to be, right up there. I think rugby league, just keeps adding the scandals, on a regular basis. I mean, I did a rugby league gig once, and they said to me, please don't mention anything before the courts. And I thought, what, do you want me to stand on stage for 40 minutes not talking?
Well, here we are with a new book, Please Gamble Irresponsibly. What made you to decide this topic required immediate attention, and is it Tom Waterhouse's fault?
Well, it's mainly Tom Waterhouse's fault. I think most things are. But really, the idea for the book is I was at home watching the footy one night, and like so many of us, I realised I'm really watching gambling ads occasionally punctuated by football. And I'm a Melbourne supporter, so having something to distract me from the football was probably welcome. But it did make me think, when I was growing up, I remember there just no ads whatsoever about gambling, and then suddenly without sort of noticing it seems, we've noticed them, but suddenly it's come out of nowhere. It's every second ad, it's gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. And I sort of thought, well, why has this suddenly changed? Why have we gone from having no gambling ads to wall-to-wall coverage, to the point with like Tom Waterhouse, who's part of the actual commentary team for a while there. So, so it's sort of just looking back at that, and then, you look at the history of it, and Australians have just gambled from day one, non-stop, no matter what. That's just been their thing, and it was kind of interesting seeing how we got here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the book is all about, looking back in the history of gambling in Australia. It's a part of our DNA. How do you think, though, it came to be that way?
Well, I mean, I think once when, the British set up a colony here, which was really, sort of convicts, life was a gamble, the idea that they would even make it. And to the point where they gambled even back then, they used to gamble their food rations and their line rations, which was given to them to prevent scurvy. And even back then, they were willing to starve and risk getting scurvy to put a bet on. So it's sort of in our DNA from right back to those days.
So if I told you, Titus, I have a flutter on the Melbourne Cup and maybe the Perth Cup each year, I don't have any gambling apps or accounts, that's it, does that make me less of an Aussie in your eyes?
No, I mean, I think that's the vast majority of Australians. It's like the mate of yours who you've never heard mention horse racing until the week of the Spring Carnival, and suddenly he's giving you tips like he's got some inside knowledge that, we've all know that, and then, we all risk those big $5 each way bets that sort of, that's the vast majority. But behind that's a hardcore group, and especially with the apps. I mean, the apps have changed it where to put a bet on, you had to go to the racetrack in the past, and then there were the TABs in many states. But, you had to go out. Now you can sit on your phone in a meeting, bored out of your brain, and be betting on German soccer.
Yeah.
People think you're answering emails, and yet you're really losing your life savings.
It's true, and it's probably the gambling ads that have steered me away personally. Kind of like, I don't want to be like you, Tom. I will not download your app, thanks.
Well, I think that's the reaction a bit. I think, I've tried to write the book, fairly as a lot of people can gamble and have no problem. We tend to focus on the problem gamblers, and that definitely, the problem of problem gambling is it's a problem. But it is a serious thing. But there's a lot that can just do it. So I've tried to kind of encapsulate the whole lessons and history behind sports gambling, the good and the bad. But people I think either react by not, turning. I think Tom Waterhouse and all the ads sort of turn people to focus on it a bit, and actually even people who are into gambling start to say, well, I think this is a bit much.
Yeah.
And that's where we've sort of ended up when kids can quote to you the odds of a game.
Yeah.
It's a weird world we live in. It's something that I never really knew. Gambling was the thing your drunk uncle would do. Now it's everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a drunk uncle in all of us. Plenty more after this. We've got Titus O'Reilly on the line here on Spirit Drive with Matt Layton.
On the Spirit. Matt Layton driving you home.
Right across the West, we're driving you home on the Spirit. Titus O'Reilly joins us right now. His brand new book, Please Gamble Irresponsibly, The Rise, Fall and Rise of Sports Gambling in Australia, is out now. Now, Titus, how do you see sports gambling in Australia playing out in the upcoming decade?
Well, I mean, I think the real moment that changed was in 2008, where actually the WA government sued or made Betfair illegal, which was a betting exchange. And Betfair took them to the High Court, which the High Court ruled in Betfair's favour. And that was the moment that opened up, basically, that states couldn't stop gambling companies, no matter where they were based, whether it was Tasmania or the Northern Territory, from allowing them to advertise. And so I think that was the change. What I think we've got to now is a point where it's just got a bit too much. And so I kind of see, one, you're seeing better taxation of these companies. So WA and many other states have introduced what's called a point of consumption tax, which is they tax you in the actual state you're gambling in, not back where your company's based. Yeah. And I think also we're going to see more curtailing of the wall-to-wall advertising. And I think the thing here is there's a sensible balance between making it illegal, which has never worked. We have had sports gambling completely illegal for over 100 years in Australia, and that just led to illegal gambling on a massive scale. So I don't think that's going to work, but I do see some curtailing of the advertising and perhaps some more taxation to deal with the people who do actually have problems.
Now, I've got to ask you as well about the footy. Pre-season training is on again in what feels like the hottest time of the year right across the country. I did see Melbourne, though, going from 19 degrees to 34 in the space of a few hours. So, Melbourne. What were the highs and lows of season 2019 in your eyes, and who do you see being the big movers and shakers moving forward in season 2020?
Well, I mean, I love the pre-seasons back, and, we get articles already which are basically saying someone's already won the premiership because someone won a 5K time trial. But look, I mean, there were lots of amazing things. I thought season 2019, the most interesting thing was the most AFL thing to happen ever, which is the AFL introduced a round of new rules to increase scoring, which led instantly to a drop in scoring, which is, I mean, if you're going to get the AFL to do something, we should have said, what would you like to do to increase scoring? And then we'd do the polar opposite. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, I think Richmond, the story really was obviously Richmond and really being able to get Tom Lynch. I mean, without Tom Lynch, they wouldn't have been it. And I think the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot.
Oh, yeah.
In the last few rounds to miss out on another home final was a problem. Ross Lyon being sacked, I mean, probably only 3 years too late, but Freo, they always get there eventually. So, it's been interesting, but I mean, I think looking for next year, I mean, Tim Kelly going to the Eagles is just, a massive story. And I was, as a Melbourne fan, just you're thrilled beyond belief.
Round one.
To see Melbourne's drawn them round one in the heat in Perth. I mean, that's the only good thing about that is the last time we saw Melbourne was in Perth in the prelim final, so maybe we'll find them again. I don't know.
It's going to be very, very exciting. We're certainly looking forward to that. And just finally, I know because you're a regular on the front bar and the show is back for a couple of cricket specials from this Thursday, will you be joining the crew again under the cricket format?
I will be joining them. I'm not the first one because I'm travelling, but I'm at the second one I'll be doing something. But I was actually in their offices today and... absolute cracker of show planned, and some of the stuff they've got is amazing. And just as the front bar delve into their archive of footy yesteryear, they've been given access to cricket archive, and some of that stuff in there is absolutely hilarious. So well worth tuning in. It's going to be very funny. Cannot
wait. I hope there is a cricket equivalent of what was going on with Gary Lyon over the year as well. That would be fantastic.
I think there's a few you could get with cricket. I mean, cricket's had some of the funniest events ever. There's something always going on in cricket, and who knows? It might be we get them in to do Warner and Smith to show us the proper way to sandpaper something.
Oh, that would be a ratings bonanza. That would be fantastic. But anyway, guys, please gamble irresponsibly. The rise, fall and rise of sports gambling in Australia. Out now, just in time to watch wall-to-wall gambling ads while a bat and ball game is apparently taking place. Titus, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Titus O'Reilly on Spirit Drive. Back soon.